when you're a mentor to many people that you're still mentoring, that it's hard to say the things that you want to say to your peers. Otherwise, it goes to the heart.
I still think, though, sometimes there's a place, but I think if you come out swinging hard like that, people now are just going to shut down and say, I'm done. I think sometimes you got to, I guess the reason why I contacted you was you would always help me. When we were sometimes just brainstorming ideas.
It's mushroom tea, by the way.
Oh, yeah. This is going to get crazy.
It's only 2 mils. You're okay. My side from the competition was I was struggling to get people to participate because this was just at the end of the World Pastry Team Championship and everybody felt burned, sponsor-wise. Everybody was like, you want me to help you what? Why would I? You're a company just like, why you pay for it, you know? And I was like, well, I can, but it's not gonna thrive. You know, I'm like the smallest company in town and in a year I make what you make in a day. I'm like, seriously, how does this work? The thing is nobody else in those other companies, they could write a check, but they were not invested in the artistry. They were like, just get my name out there. We're here, we like you guys. You know, so I had this sponsor thing going on. It was like reparations with the sponsor. I'm like, come on guys, I'm not, just send the check right to Paul. I'm not even getting the money. I'm like, it was this weird thing. From your side, I think, didn't you even help me get other teams? Because nobody was taking it seriously. Well, I think you helped me get people. You and David Ramirez.
The first year, I think people are afraid. You know, they don't know what to expect. The other tricky thing too, right, is you're gonna do 2 people. So when Paul contacted me, I said, who the hell am I gonna work with? Because like, I'm not gonna work with anybody from work. Mm-hmm. And I think I asked around to a few people, and a couple of the guys that I worked with Nancy at Chic, mm-hmm. and they said, why don't you talk to her? And I talked to Nancy, and I never talked to Nancy prior to being on the team with her because it wouldn't make sense to say, hey, I got a great pastry chef friend in Orlando, and now to practice, that's going to limit our time. Mm-hmm. They have to fly. Yeah. Who pays for that? Yeah. It's a lot of little things kind of get in the way, especially when you're doing something like that, because the teams, as a team, we couldn't go out and ask for sponsorship. Everybody like, for what?
Yeah, they're like, what is that?
Yeah.
That was, there's a method to my madness and why I'm talking about Pastry Live. Because I want to demonstrate why it's hard to start a competition. Because it's out of thin air. It's like, you have to get everybody to believe in your idea at the same time and show up and commit time away from their family and. And the big ones survive because they have financing and they have people assigned to deal with the competition. It's coincides with a trade show, and it is a marketing endeavor. We were in an artistic endeavor. However, I feel like there's a purity that we were trying to work with. And now fast forward to, so when we got to the event center for Pastry Live, everybody called in their favors. Paul, he worked for that event center at one time. They gave him a deal on the renting. We couldn't even get the refrigerators in because there weren't ramps and stuff. We were like, oh shit, everything was a problem. We got tables. I show up to the event space. I'm already tired but excited. We were assembling the trophies at the space before the competition because we couldn't fly with them. They were all packed flat and we were gluing them. And then we got there and I'm like, oh, I got to build the tables. I'm like, wow. So this event center changed into this thing, but it was just pure love, right? All volunteers. I didn't have a lot to gain. It didn't feel like at the time. I just wanted to keep a spirit alive after this crash. And I wouldn't know how to start a competition now. Can I tell you the original concept of Pastry Live? I don't think you know this. I said to Paul, Paul, let's have a 3-day event that we film. And that's our content generation. And then over the course of the year, we're going to release the stories that happened at Pastry Live because we're not going to get an audience. It's not about, we don't have the space for it, we don't have this. So the idea was that we were going to film all this stuff. And every time we tried to work with a group to film, it was a disaster. We had one company come in and they filmed everybody, every chef giving a demonstration. They filmed it like a newscast. And I kept pushing the guys. I said, show the chef's hands. It's a demonstration, it's a demonstration. So it was disastrous. And we never had any good content anywhere whatsoever. So right out of the gate, that got blown out of the water, this new idea of promotion, use the internet, all this sort of stuff. And then we pulled back into, let's just get these rules going and just get people together and show up. It was a Hail Mary. When I went to the Coupe de Monde, I went only one time. Beatrice went several times, I think. I was like, wow.
Oh yeah, they got their act together over there.
I gotta sit up straight, man. This is how they do it. This is what.
Yeah, but you're talking millions, right? Upon millions to pull that off.
But they put, see, this is what to me is backwards, is they put millions into the event and the deployment of all the tasks, but they didn't invest in the freedom or the creativity or remember at that time it was still against molds, and then they let molds, and now it's too many molds. It's like, what's going to swing? I don't even know who's doing the mold work now. It's not me. I don't, that was exhausting. No, I don't do it anymore. So, not this, I'll do it for a different reason. So I feel like there's always a give and take, but there's guys like you who could design a competition. That's the ambush.
Oh, okay.
No, think about it.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about that. Honestly, I was thinking about it this week.
Well, then you've been picking up what I've been throwing down.
It's in the universe.
Multi-dimensionally.
Did you scream it from the window?
I jelly rolled that son bitch.
Right into a croissant.
The croissant.
Everyone's going, what?
That's where the Instagram picture pops up. Paul's idea. No, who was? I had it backwards. Andy's idea, and then who did it?
Chef Antonis.
Okay. Coming to get you, Antonis. 3 cameras.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. Okay.
No, he does crazy like bread. Just some things you look at and be like, why is he putting American cheese, like a slice of American cheese? He's Greek, but it's like everything he does is very, very beautiful.
Well, high five.
There we go.
Okay, so the 2 things I threw at you, low fives to the cat. 2 things that I'm pushing towards. One is the compare and contrast of the passion that it takes to start a new event and the obstacles in between. There's many other than just financial. And then jumping the pond over to the most established events and how they become politicized. I thought Pastry Live was pretty politics free. There were some people trying.
Yeah, they were trying.
Yeah.
They tried.
But it was too new to be political. They tried to bring their old...
Okay. You've got the highest score, but that piece was bigger, so it wins.
You see, we also tried to alleviate that by changing the way that things were not scored, but awarded. Remember, we had most artistic, we had the audience choice, we had the competitor's choice, we had the judge's choice. And this really shined a light on every single angle of it, because you guys couldn't see how the other chefs were working in the kitchen. So you couldn't really have were they clean or not? But you could look at the artistry of it and separate yourself. So I felt like those sorts of prizes were a good technique. Am I being naive? People seem to like it.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a participation trophy. There wasn't one for everyone, right? They all had meaning behind them, and it was specified. This was selected based on these reasons.
I should have given an award for those who returned their molds back to the sponsor. No, I'm kidding. They were all gifts. No, so, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Describe how big the Coupe de Monde is. Describe, like, you show up.
Oh, it's like
we're going to roll the B-roll of this event. So kind of describe when you show up as a chef versus a spectator. Where do you go? The dock for the crates? Where do you start?
As a competitor?
As a competitor.
As a competitor, you have to first of all get in the parking lot. That took an act of God this last time to get into the right parking lot. But then when you get there, you've got a European size truck with a lift gate that you have to load all your equipment into your kitchen with. But there's a whole process behind the scenes, and it is what it is. And all those of us that have done it before have done the same thing. You bring it in, and then there's like a pre-staging area inside the back. And then once you get your things in there, which the area is way too small, they know how much stuff the teams are bringing in. So they make you, wait until everything's in there, and then you're allowed to, then you bring it over to the kitchen.
How much did you ship over there, poundage?
4 pallets.
Okay.
I don't know how much weight we had, but it was 4 pallets.
And how big is the physical competition kitchen?
4 pallets would not fit in there. The school that we were practicing at was a new facility for us, and the pallets actually were unloaded on the dock, and then we had to bring them up into the building.
So you're tired before you start.
Well, we're not saying like we unloaded the pallets and we pushed it in an elevator and it went up. There were trucks on the loading dock, so our pallets were just sitting on the ground, so we unloaded them, and then we had to walk them halfway around the block into the parking garage, down in the parking garage, back up into an elevator that was bigger than or smaller than we are distance from each other. It's Europe, right? Everything's smaller. So we're just up, down the hall, into the kitchen, put it away. And then it was the same thing getting back out. We're pretty fast. It was all hands on deck when you do that. But then it was get everything packed, wrapped, back down into then when we had to load it up to bring it over, getting it all in there, figuring out who's gonna drive, because surprise, it's a manual. Not everybody can drive.
Oh,
There were 3 of us there that could.
Do you know how to drive a manual transmission car?
I would say, I was going to answer that for you. I was going to say you probably do.
Yeah.
Because you're not from here.
Yeah.
So 3 of us could drive it, and I was like, I'll drive it. I'd tear that thing up, man. And unfortunately, they were like, no, you can't because you're judging, so you have to be somewhere else. But I was able to be there to help them move in, and then afterwards, getting it back out. That's another whole ball of wax. But like getting it in there. So when you move it in, I mean, the kitchen's kind of like placemat. It's like a rectangle. It's skinny. It's long. Back when I went, it was long and skinny facing forward. Now it's wider, so you can see more. So it's probably changed since you've been there.
Were the Pastry Live kitchens bigger than the usual kitchen?
They were the appropriate size for what needed to be done.
That's up to Paul. Set that for you guys. He said, don't attack the chef in the kitchen.
No, but so here's the other thing. So if you can find some pictures. So if you look at the old pictures, it was 12 kitchens lined up all the way down, right? And like if you were down here, it was okay. If you were down there, it was okay. Now it's 2 rows of 10, elevated.
What?
Elevated. So you can
like
see
a
from the
golf
stands, you can see everything.
Oh, wow.
So instead of like when I competed, I was in the front with my rack.
You can't
and all
see
my
down
stuff.
there. And
You couldn't see past me. I mean, if you looked, if I turned, you could see Steven back there and Christoph, but you could not. Christoph could have been back there like burning the building down. Nobody would have known.
Well, there's a big audience at the Coupe de Monde because it's such a big deal that all the families, everybody comes in. So there's a stadium to watch the chefs. And there's also like a lot of chefs, a lot of cameras, a lot of press. And they move up and down the front. And that was the big bitch, is like, get the camera out of the way. I can't see, because people are like this, opera.
Yeah. Or they would carve the ice in front, right?
Yeah.
So then when they're carving ice, you can't see, and then you're trying to work on sugar, and there's ice being thrown on your table. But so now it's great, right? You can see it, everything's wonderful, it's amazing, except for, hey, we need to move the showpieces. By the way, Jordan, you have to pick up this, I don't know how much that piece weighed. I mean, you saw it, it was heavy. He had to pick that up after 10 hours of working on it. Come out, back door of the kitchen, down the middle, downstairs.
That used to be a competition on its own when they ran Stefan over the stairs with the showpiece.
Yes, yeah, but
that was made for TV drama.
That was Food Network all the way. Food Network in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But the stairs were just like wood stairs that just like they could put them in and remove them as they needed to. So like when we were judging the tasting, the stairs were gone. So now Jordan's carrying this big honking piece down the stairs, and like the stairs are wonky, and it's just like, this is either gonna be great or we're gonna get it on the table. I mean, they had already seen it, so it was kind of
wow.
But yeah, so it's and of course, like I said, we were kitchen too, so we were in the back.
So the scale is ginormous. The logistics are ginormous. So bigger is not always better in the sense of for the individual chef. For the sense of the competition, it is. I want to ask you, why don't more civilians know about these shows? Because they're every bit as good as the Super Bowl.
I think in the past, there's a lack of understanding in this country. Obviously, if you're a pastry chef, you know. And I think now that it's been streaming for the last, I don't know how many years they've been streaming the competition. But again, when they stream, all you get to see is one of the 10 or 12 teams that's going that day. So you get a small snippet, and obviously the camera's going to go. They're going to put the camera on the screen that's got something interesting going on. I think getting there for some people, obviously there's a little cost prohibitive trying to get over there just to watch. That's why we never have a big contingency from the US.
Well, I feel like it's a TV thing, to have this. There was an early Pastry Live idea, which was fantasy, and that was that the organizers locked down sponsorship for the team. So Team US would have Google, they would have Tesla, they would have so-and-so, so-and-so, and each sponsor puts $100,000 for the team. Now it's equal sponsorship among everybody, and each company is getting their brand recognition. I don't know if Google and Tesla are competitors necessarily, but I just thought that it would bring in some good old corporate Yahoo-ness, because sponsorship is the big deal. I worked with Team Australia one time, just made a few molds for these guys, and after the show, I met them at another event a year later, and he's like, we had no idea. He said, we back up to the dock and we pull out a few boxes. Team USA came up with 2 semis. And this was at World Pastry Team Championship. He's like, we're like, where do you get that kind of sponsorship dollars? He's like, I was cutting lawns to get money outside of my teaching salary to pay for this. So there's a big discrepancy. And sponsorship does matter because it does matter. I mean,
it does, but I think home field advantage, I mean, it's the same thing, right? We always did well here. And I'm not saying it was because of the teams that were there or the chefs that we had or the chefs that came. And sure, Japan has so many resources.
Well, they have state funding,
yeah, which we never have. But
Yeah.
at least when we would compete here, we were the local boys, so it was easy to get here. There was no jet lag. There was no delay in shipping of containers.
No lost containers.
You know, there was none of no. We can't bring this. You know, if we want a specific microgreen, we can talk to the farm and make sure that that's there. Versus, you know, it gets held up in customs going over to Europe or Germany or wherever you're going. I think the U.S. always faces that challenge, but I mean it's always there, so we can't complain about it, right? We just need to kind of adapt and figure out a better way to navigate it.
So. To Anna, who is newer to the culinary world, why does a chef compete? Camera 2.
It's on camera 2. Looking good today. Why do I compete?
Well, I know why, but why do, you can start specifically. I'm not going to shape it that way, but in general, what's in it for the chef?
Recognition. I think that's the big thing. You know, obviously some competitions there's prize money, and some competitions you can take I could spend 5 times the money I'd win in a prize on one mold, and I've done it. But I think that helped get me to where I needed to be, and it gave me a chance to work with that kind of a product, just like different ingredients, the amount of things that we purchase on our own. You know, to me that adds to my secret stash of tools that I then get to use. If I look back to my first competition, I had nothing, and then every year that I would do something, I would add another piece of equipment into the mix. And I personally believe that if you do what I did and you just kind of keep going and going and going, and what's the next one? What's the next one? Let's do another one. Well, this is TV, that's totally different, but let's apply everything that we know from these professional competitions we do. It's not just hamming it up for the camera. And let's do this, and let's do that, and let's do that. I think that got me ready for the last thing I did, or to help coach a team, because then you get to share that knowledge and what, you know, just what you know and how to do things.
Because there's so many competitions that are evaporated, you said your niece? What was it, your niece? Or
My niece.
Okay. So Andy was just telling me before the camera's on, she's 27. She's like, I got the fire. Hello, Shadow. Okay, welcome to the interview. She's got the fire to compete, but there's nowhere to go. What is the landscape right now for competitions currently, post-COVID?
You know, David Ramirez, you mentioned his name earlier. David Awald, I was taking 2 3-day sugar classes with Awald, or chocolate. Never touched chocolate for a showpiece work in my life. And you know, this is like 2006, 2007. And Awald had to go film a TV show. They were doing some Guinness Mickey Mouse thing, getting a record. And David was there last day, and David's style is very different from Awald's, right? And I can't remember if it was myself or somebody else that asked David. This was before they were world champions, and I said, whoever was asked the question, and they said, how do you get started in this? And David said, you jump on whatever you can find, like whatever competition. He may not even remember saying this, right? But he said any competition. So when I left that August, it probably was that December, I entered a local gingerbread house competition, or no, it was a chocolate sculpture competition in Naperville.
Big time, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it was like one of those like dodgeball. You know, when they go there, they go play the Girl Scouts. They go to play the Girl Scouts and the girls on roids. I wasn't the girl on roids, but I just like, there was nothing like what I did, right? It was small, and I look back and it was stupid and it was offensive, and no, you cannot have a picture of it, and no, it's not anywhere to be found.
I have a very convincing producer.
But it was $100,000.
That's right, $1 million.
But it was, I won. Okay, and I was like, all right, so as stupid as that little win sounds, you learn a lot, right? How to move the things, how to set the things up, how to start building these things small. Small eventually leads to bigger, right? I had something though that I can put on a resume now when I apply for competitions, because as goofy as that competition sounds, I could put that on there. Now the next competition I think I applied for was Chocolate Master, which was a terrible idea, and I wasn't accepted, and thank God I wasn't accepted, because I was nowhere near that level, and I still don't feel like I'm at the level for that competition right now either. That's a complete, that one you have to surround yourself with everybody. But I think now the only avenue to start getting you there, besides the little, Naperville chocolate creation thing that I did, would be ACF competitions. And this isn't like us stomping for ACF, but like they're the only ones that do competitions that are really evaluated by professionals. So if somebody wants to do that, and they're coming back, like this year, there've already been a lot of competitions. I just got back from one this past weekend. I'm going to another one in 2 more weeks. And they have an opportunity to start entering pieces there. And if that's what they want to do, just showpieces. Because the nice thing about the showpiece competitions is it's a salon. So you bring the piece in done.
So should we tell them about Fish Tank?